Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Behind the Showdown podcast. I'm your host, AJ, with my co host, Hunter, Will, and
Hello.
Ian. All right. So today, I'm going to get us all in focus here.
I'm doing crack.
Oh, I want some.
Too
Yeah,
bad.
you smoked that. You smoked that crack,
Fuck.
Will. Okay. So to
Oh, that was
start off,
terrible. I shouldn't have
everybody,
done that.
what you do?
Oh, I just snorted crack.
He's popping pillies, guys.
Okay. What the fuck? You sounded so serious when you said that too. That's really funny. Um, okay, so today we're going to start off with a brand new segment. We're calling it Fake Press Conference. And it is because, and I will pull it up here because, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, are you going to find this fascinating? In our fantasy matchups this week for baseball, a certain one of us who will remain nameless until another couple seconds, but was ahead going into Sunday by 60 points. In fact, he was so ahead by 60 points. I was under the impression that he was going to win this week, and I had actually written out my rankings already because it seemed like everybody who was in the lead was pretty much going to win, right? Well, I was wrong. And it's because somebody in this chat actually just decided, apparently, I'm not going to do any planning whatsoever. And I am just going to let Jack Mac absolutely have his way with my ass. So we are going to do Mr. Hunter. How are you?
Um, I want to die just a little.
So, real quick, before we get into the fake press conference, do you want to kind of break down what happened or why you think you lost this week before we start
I
asking
mean,
questions?
I lost I would say one of the reasons I lost is because I had a couple guys have. I had one guy have a blow up start. I think it was yesterday. No, it was 2 days ago. Uh, Grayson Rodriguez had kind of just a weird start that didn't end very well, so he was in the negative. Yohan Duran blew a save, so that was negative 11. Um, and then Brent Rooker had -4. But what really decided to fuck me was Pablo Lopez becoming prime Pedro Martinez and striking out 14 in 8 innings and scoring 43 points.
Hmm. So, what do you think you could have done better before like what do you think you could have done better?
Um, I really don't know. I It was kind of just uh, there's not really a lot else I could have probably done. I guess maybe I could have swapped. I didn't realize the Dodgers weren't playing today, so I could have swapped Corbin Carroll in for him for Tasker Hernandez, and then put Justin Turner in as my utility. But Brent Rooker, who is now fucking off my team, goodbye. Uh, the -4
Yeah, I saw
fucked me.
that you dropped him.
Oh,
Yeah, that I don't know. I also feel like you and my grandpa could easily go into the Hall of Fame of dropping guys way too fast.
Brent Rooker is a good hitter, but he strikes out a lot. It was the same reason why I dropped Jorge Soler.
Jorge Soler did pretty good for me when I had him for a couple of days. You see,
It's
that's
just
your
he hold.
issue. You don't hold on to people very long. You just kind of, which I mean, to be fair, when you're trying to win immediately, like hitting's not going to help you. Like you just kind of need to stick with who you've got and just kind of go like they'll have a decent day if you trust them. Like Rengifo on my team, he doesn't usually hit very well, but he does well enough most weeks, like where he'll usually either even out or get like 1 or 2 points, and that's usually fine. Like because he doesn't have a whole bunch of days where he goes negative, and that's really the reason I like him so much. But here, everybody, here is the score. Oh wait, no. Oh, sorry. No, that's me and my 200-point victory.
He just wanted to suck himself off before he went to the actual
Yeah.
main content.
Oh,
Yeah,
and then
this is just
and then
placed.
actually, you know what?
Oopsies!
We'll do two actually. We'll do one for Ian and we'll do one for Hunter because Ian should have won this week because I gave him advice so he could beat Will. And then that advice did not pan out very well. So
Okay, well, now it's
Ian,
your time to feed me your info so I can just beat the shit out of AJ again.
okay,
He,
so oh go ahead, Will.
he's extremely reliant on his relief pitchers.
And by
His
extremely
pitching,
reliant.
he gloats about his hitting, but in reality, his hitting's really easy to outpace. I should know because I did it 6 out of the 7 days. It's just he gets really lucky when it comes to his matchup and his relief pitchings. They end up playing the majority of the time, and they heavily beat over a regular starting pitcher. Because at the end
All
of the
right.
day, a relief pitcher can earn what 10 points 3 times, or more. Am I wrong, AJ?
I've got 5 of them.
Exactly. And he has two, in my opinion, really strong starting pitchers. So
Now 3.
yeah, I haven't looked at their matchups, but you're in for a hell of a time.
Okay, so everybody, Ian, we're gonna have you start. Do you have any funny questions you want to ask Hunter about why he sucks?
I just would wonder how he can psychologically recover from this embarrassment, and if he even deserves to be back for fantasy football season.
It's going to be a long process. We got the sports psychologist here in the office. I'm going to give a good talk to him, and I think we'll be back in better hopefully.
So Hunter, I was looking over your numbers and I noticed 171 to 178. Did you not realize that was less points than the other team, or did you just assume that you had the 178? Like, because I mean, I'm looking at this right now and it seems like, for a guy who I believe I don't remember the text or the conversation we had, but I believe it was, yeah, I'm gonna win this week. So did you not realize?
I said hopefully.
Yeah, because
Let
you were
it be
golfing.
known.
So you were golfing this week. So is that why you've lost 7 games before this? Is it because you forgot that you're supposed to have more points than the other team?
No, it is because everyone else seems to have their best weeks, and I can't. It's hard for me to catch up.
So do you think 178 points is a good week? Because let's pull back the curtain here real quick. So hey, Will, real quick, can you read me these two numbers right here?
Yes, sir. It's 182 to 378.
So, Will, now I am no mathematician, but is 182 bigger or smaller than 171?
Golfing rules, it's bigger. Any rules, it's smaller.
Ian, do me a big favor. Read these two
God
numbers.
damn, I didn't know we were trying to fucking just inflate AJ's ego even more today.
It's okay. You can massively deflate it by saying he doesn't have to.
I have no comment because a egotistical maniac like AJ deserves no more attention than what he's worth.
So, I believe Hunter 312 to 241. So now this is just statistically, you only outscored one team this week, and that is the guy that doesn't even set his lineup every week. So, like, you can say, and I mean this with all the love in the world, because normally I agree with you on that notion that, like, why did it do that? That, like, you usually get everyone's best. This week in particular, you did not. So you're going into a matchup against the most attractive and best team in the league next week.
Hey,
So
aren't
do
you
you
the
have
second best?
I have no comment at this time.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. I'm asking you the questions, bitch boy. Um, so what is your plan against Dion's double dippers, and or do you have any faith left in your season whatsoever?
I still have faith. Uh, I just didn't. I had pretty tough matchups this week, and I think hopefully next week we won't necessarily come a little easier or a lot easier, but I feel like I have a chance.
Hmm. Okay, Will, do you have any questions? Will, is there any questions from your press box?
Yes, sir. Uh, why did you start a guy that struck out 4 times?
Uh, because he's been decent this year, so I thought, oh, Pablo Lopez has not exactly been the best this year, but it's possible that he could be all right. Little did I know he was going to do fuck all for me. So
All right, so here, real quick, everybody, I pulled up the total scores from all of his players real quick. So Hunter, I noticed looking at your totals for the week that Grayson Rodriguez, Mikhail Garcia, Kevin Gossman, Brent Rooker. Do they have a future with Deadly Clutchman's buns, or are you releasing them this week?
Grayson Rodriguez is going to stay. He's second best starter on the O's, and I think it was just kind of a rough start for him. Brent Rooker, deuces, get the fuck off. Michael Garcia is still a top 10 third baseman, so I'm going to keep him for now, but we'll see.
Hmm. Okay. Now everybody, it is time. Hi, Peter. It is time to go to one Ethan Bankston for his ribbing because he did barely better than Hunter did. So this is a good thing to rip him for. So Ian, I will start this press conference has begun, and I will start. So Ian, how do you feel about having a piece of shit like Albert Suarez get you -7 points over a 7-day period? And do you think he'll be sticking
He's a
around?
complete and total bum who should be publicly executed.
And
Hey, hey.
did you realize that that was not your player?
Oh, you're not
I,
gonna
that,
like that.
that's Will's
Anyway,
pitcher.
how did, I don't know how that happened. I think I'm the one who needs to be violently punished now for losing to a team that had a player that got -7. But then you have who got 33 there?
Tyler Glasnow, the leader for the start, the ace for the Dodgers. I
Oh,
almost
well,
said the
fuck.
Braves. Well, so Ian actually, when you look at it, Ian had like a really solid week. Look at all these numbers, except Ozzy Albies. Jesus. Oh my God, that's
No, not yet.
nuts.
I'm good.
Ozzy
Freddie
Albies
Peralta,
had
great week.
28 points. Oh my God. Okay, so
Yeah, going and
Ian,
claiming Rolls Royce Lewis was fucking goaded on your end, Will.
I um I was actually early waiver wire pick. I was gonna say if he's on the waiver still, pick him up now. Out of the, I believe, 6 games that he's played, he's hit a home run out of 5. So
Oh,
okay, Royce Lewis, that's somebody to keep your eyes on, everybody. So Ian, one more question before I hand it off to the rest of the press. Why do you think that there is any chance you have at making the playoffs now that you are going to be 3-10? And if so, how do you think you'll get to the playoffs?
no, there's no hope. It's over.
I actually disagree. I think you just need to win your next 2 games. Because
Well,
fun
I'm not going
fact,
to beat you.
if the Green Bay Packers can do it, so can you.
Ian, you play me in 4 weeks.
What?
You play me in 4 weeks.
Oh.
So I'll say this. I'll let
I thought
before
I
I let
played
pass
you
it
in
off to
2
everybody.
weeks.
No, I play Will Patera in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that'll be an easy dub. But basically, if you want to win, Hunter just did you a huge favor. So say thank you to Hunter real quick.
Thank you, Hunter.
You're
Because
so welcome.
him choking on cock this week essentially allowed for you to have a shot at the 10 seed. Because here's the thing, there are 10 teams out of 14 going to the playoffs, so you're still in this. You
Somehow.
as long as you don't lose your next 3, you still have a chance at the 10 seed. But if you lose the next 3 games, then yeah, I think it's time to start focusing on football.
I'm already focusing on football.
Yeah, you should have been there in our mock draft, but that's for another discussion. So, Will, Hunter, do you guys have any questions for this loser? And also, Will was your opponent. So, Will, do you have any closing comments on this matchup?
I would say it was a good matchup. It was a good attempt. That's all I got. It was a fair match. You kind of got me scared there, because you kind of were really rapidly increasing, and Bryce Miller fumbling the bag against the Marlins really helped you out there too.
I'll also say this: Corbin Burns did not help Ian. I think if Corbin Burns had done way better this week, then I think Ian might. I think this game might be like 200 to 206.
Yeah. So I
All
think
right,
that was a
Hunter.
close matchup. I think that you should keep focusing on baseball because I feel like that you still have an opportunity, but that's just me.
All right.
All right, Hunter. You have any questions for this the other loser in the room?
No.
All right. Well then, why don't we quickly go through, because I want to quickly highlight Max Schwarzer, or Mad Max, if any, because I went and looked before we started recording. He's only in about 40% of ESPN leagues picked up by people. So if you do not have him on your roster, you need to make that a priority, like, because Max Schwarzer is a great pitcher. He's got a lot of upside. Known as Mad Max, obviously, and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, he can be one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't think he will be this year, but listen, I got a tough matchup this week up against Hunter. And guys like him are probably going to be the reason that puts me in like a 60-point lead by the end of the week.
But Mr. Seymour, wasn't that the first match that he did for starting?
It was, but it was also against a pretty solid Royals team that is currently ranked I think ESPN Power Rankings had them at 8 or 9 best team in the league. So
And who are they facing next week?
The Orioles.
The Texans. The Orioles? I don't know about that one. I'd say hold off on that one for one more week. But that's
Max Schwarzer is good enough that I trust him against the O's. I think he'll give up like
tell
1
if
or
you're
2
doing that on
runs.
purpose to piss me off.
No.
Or you're genuinely
not.
saying Schwarzer.
Hi, for everyone here.
Oh, am I saying his name wrong?
It's Scherzer. There's no W.
Scherzer, my bad. No, I was saying that wrong. I wasn't doing that wrong on purpose.
I was going to say, for everyone here listening,
AJ's just silly.
And Hunter is also a O's fan. So
and was also seething hearing AJ screw another name up.
Yeah, but I do think that he'll do all right against the O's this week, because especially if the O's go on a huge slump, which, I mean, could very well happen. The Yankees, one of the other best teams in baseball, they just had a huge slump for a week, and we'll have to see if that happens to Baltimore, because if that happens to Baltimore, then that helps me because Hunter's got 3 players on the Baltimore Orioles. And on top of that, having Scherzer do well, and also, I mean, Paul Skeens. I mean, listen, I've got Seth Lugo, Paul Skeens, Kate Smith, Brian Hudson, and Logan Gilbert, Matt Waldron, and where is he? Why is he not on here?
The fact that you got one of the
Robert
only
Morris.
good starts from Hunter Brown is fucking remarkable.
I know, right? I picked him up because I was nervous because I was kind of losing a bit this week. And then what happened was like I noticed that he was going up against the White Sox, I think. And that's why I picked him up because I was like, okay, he's not a good pitcher, but he's going up against a shit team, and there's a decent chance that he'll do all right. Because I mean, the White Sox are bad enough that you could probably make a solid assumption that any pitcher throwing against them will do, like, they're probably not going to give up like 8 runs. So it's a pretty safe bet that you might get a quality start out of them. But yeah, I think that it makes total sense. But yeah, I got really lucky because I saw his stats and they were not great, and I was just kind of taking a risk that, thank the Lord, paid off. But I'm not gonna be able to do that anymore because now I've got 5 solid like names for pitching and 5 solid relief pitchers. Which, by the way, for those listening, 5 starters, 5 relievers. If you have 3 of those relievers be closers, that is like a borderline surefire way to win games week to week. And I know this because I've been doing that, and I have been so successful at it that I just beat an opponent who, because your friend Ethan Hunter, he's like the 5th best team in the league.
He knows his baseball.
He does, but after this week, he's probably going down 2 spots. So we will have to see. But Ian, are there any players on your fantasy team that you wanted to shout out real quick that you think is good? I've done well this week.
It's got to be Freddie Peralta, 28 points.
Freddie Peralta. Okay, so yeah, because Ian, in all honesty, Ian, you had a pretty decent week. I mean, Hunter's team is like I'll say this, you and because you didn't play him for some reason. Well, no, it's not for some reason because I told you shouldn't. The pitcher for the Yankees that came back this week. Garrett Cole, because Garrett Cole's really good. By the way, did you guys know that Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer played baseball together?
Yes, they played at UCLA.
Yeah, and Garrett Cole like fucking hates him.
But then apparently again, they don't really hate each other. It's kind of just like they're there.
Oh, well, from what I hear, I mean, everybody hates Trevor Bauer pretty much. He's not a very good pitcher. He's an asshole. Like,
oh no, he's a very good pitcher. That's not his problem. He's just he's a clubhouse cancer.
No, he wasn't even the best. He wasn't even the best pitcher on his team when he played in Japan. He was the 3rd best. That article I sent you guys should give a read.
He won a Cy Young.
I want to shout out this article because this guy did a great job breaking down like his pitching stats from when he was in the U.S. and when he got kicked out.
Okay, he was like the best pitcher in the league, or one of the best before that crazy bitch accused him.
Well, but here's the thing about that though, is because so he struggled in the Japanese leagues to the point where he was like the 3rd or 4th best pitcher on his team, and the 2nd best was Shota Imanaga. And Shota Imanaga, I mean, even right now, he's not doing great. And by the way, Trevor Bauer, when he had his Cy Young winning year, like do you guys know that he literally was talking about how like, oh, that there is a substance that pitchers use and that I could totally use, but I won't. And because he talked about how like it increases your velocity, and then right after he said that, he started that his velocity got much higher, and it's probably because he was cheating. I mean, he literally said that he was.
Okay,
and
he was proving a point that the MLB has a sticky substance problem. Like Garrett Cole was using sticky stuff. Like,
yeah, but he
did it because the MLB wasn't doing anything about it.
Well, yeah, but then he did, but then he used it too. So
he's being a hypocrite.
Yeah, like he's the pot calling the kettle black, and that's why I thought it was ridiculous because like because Trevor Bauer is a pitcher who he's got speed, but the problem is the only success he's really had, like true success so far in the last few years, is in the Mexican leagues. and the average earned run average for every team is 3.
He had a 2.50 ERA in 2021 over 17 games. That's fucking ridiculous. He's a good pitcher. He's a top 20 to 15 pitcher.
Yeah,
I agree with what he's saying. It's that there isn't a rotation in the league that has 5 pitchers better than him.
in the league currently.
Yeah,
No.
all 5 starters in a rotation are not better than Trevor Bauer.
Dude, I can name like 4 Braves pitchers that throw better than him right now. And one of them is hurt.
You're gonna take Schwellenbach over Bauer.
Yes, because Schwellenbach's not an asshole who turns a locker room into a shit show.
I don't care about locker room cancer. We're not talking about that. We're talking about on-field play.
Yeah, well, even an on-field play, yeah, I'd still take him.
That's kind of a ridiculous take.
No, it's not. Also, by the way, when he gets pulled out of the
Schwellenbach
game,
has 4 career starts.
Schwellenbach also doesn't throw the ball over center field when he gets mad for no fucking reason.
Elite competitor.
No. Listen, Matt, like Scherzer, like his definition, like when he goes insane, his thing is like he just throws harder and then just strikes people out. Trevor Bauer just gets.
Max Scherzer is a confirmed asshole. He is. It's just as bad as Bauer. You do not talk to Max Scherzer when he starts, or he will cuss you out. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, but at least Scherzer apologizes to his teammates afterwards and says, "Oh no, I'm just in the zone while I'm on the field." But Trevor Bauer has been thrown out of every team he's played for because he's a clubhouse cancer. So good riddance. He should stay in Mexico. It's where he belongs anyway. I don't give a shit of what he was accused of. I know it's probably not true. It wasn't true, but it doesn't matter. He'll never play in Major League Baseball again for a good reason. But here's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna move on to our topic for the week, which is football. The NFC West. So the NFC West is going to be a fun one to talk about, I thought, because last week the NFC East, it was Ian and I had a whole phone conversation about it, and we revealed your picks, Ian, last week, but Ian thought it was very controversial that I had the Commanders in second place and Dallas in third. And Ian's not going to like my picks again this week. So I'm excited to see what he thinks about my picks. But we're gonna start with Logan, actually, because Logan sent me his. Now everybody, please keep in mind that even if you don't have like, let's say you don't have like a schedule like 13-6 or whatever, you don't have to. Just like we'll talk, we'll go in order. And then we'll all go in order, and then we'll all give a fantasy player that we think is underrated from this division. Or if you're very knowledgeable or feeling knowledgeable, you can pick one from each team. So we'll start with Logan's, who he had number 1, the San Francisco 49ers, number 2, the Los Angeles Rams, number 3, the Seattle Seahawks. I almost said Mariners. And number 4, Arizona Cardinals. And I don't think that's all that controversial. Everybody like those? Hunter?
Yeah, that's like literally mine.
All right. Well, then here's what. I'm going to give mine. And mine, so Ian, you better be sitting down for this one. So I have San Francisco at number 1, Arizona at number 2, Los Angeles at number 3, and Seattle at number 4.
Wow, those are the fighting words right there.
Yeah, I think Arizona has drastically improved, and Jonathan Gannon kind of proved last year that he is a pretty decent-minded head coach. And I think now that Kyler Murray has weapons, like true weapons, and like Marvin Harrison Jr., and maybe if they do diversify a bit and use the run game a bit so Kyler doesn't have to use his legs. And I think Jonathan Gannon knows this. He was around guys like Shane Steichen.
who are incredibly smart. And I've got a feeling that he's going to get it together, and I think they're going to surpass the Rams and the Seahawks this year. Will, what are your picks?
So for the West, pretty much similar scenario with you, only except I said the 49ers are going to be first because Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, their wide receivers, such stuff like that. And then in second place, I'm going to put the Rams, mainly because I feel like they have some decent weapons as well. They've got three wide receivers that I feel will put a lot of effort forth with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and something I think is Robinson. And I'm going to put Arizona in third, mainly because I feel like I do agree with they're getting better and they have some decent weapons, but I also feel like at the end of the day, they still have some more growth to get to. I feel like next year, like 2025 season, I think we'll see the Cardinals in second place. But for now, I'm just not going to be confident, and I'm just going to say that they're going to be third. And I'm going to put the Seahawks on the bottom because I've just never been too impressed with them. But
That's fair. Ian, what are your picks?
At number one, I have the 49ers. To me, the only question about San Francisco is psychologically how they recover from the Super Bowl loss hangover, and that being the second time that they've come up short in the Super Bowl in the last 5 years. They've been to 4 of the last 5 NFC championships, and that is great. But for them, it's when are they actually going to get over the hump and win that Super Bowl? To me, there's not much of a question. Like, they got the best roster in the division by far. I think they have the best roster in the NFC. I think it's the best team in the NFC. So yeah, they'll win the division. My only question with them is, come playoff time, how aggressive they are in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl if they made it there. At number 2, I have the Rams. Absolutely love Sean McVay. He's, mastermind of a coach, top 3 coach in the league in my mind. They, got 3 really good wide receivers. They're like what was talking about. And then on defense, they actually had a first-round pick for the first time here in like 3-4 years. They actually had draft picks. And they picked up Jared Verse at defensive end at tackle, who can kind of replace what they had with Donald retiring. Obviously, that's going to be their big question on defense is how they replace that. But just watching Jared Verse in college at Florida State, I mean, he is athletic. He's an absolute monster. So I'm excited to see what he does there with the Rams. So yeah, I have them at 2. Last year they were supposed to be rebuilding and they overachieved. And so yeah, I think that's a 10-win team in the playoffs again this year. At 3, I have the Cardinals. I absolutely love what they did in the draft, drafting Marvin Harrison. They got better defensively. I like, some of the young talent that they have there, the linebacker core. Gannon got a lot better as the season went on. Like what I saw from them. They're still just really young. So yeah, I do have them finishing third because I just don't see them getting ahead of the Rams or certainly not the 49ers. And then at 4, I have the Seahawks, although this one was tougher. I'm just not a huge believer in Geno Smith personally. We'll see if he can get back to the form that he was at 2 years ago, where he had like 31 touchdowns. But obviously no Pete Carroll there now. We'll see how much of a effect Pete Carroll was, and how much of that was due to Pete Carroll and the overachieving success that they had. They bring in the DC from the Ravens, Mike McDonald's, and we'll see how aggressive they are. Obviously he has Witherspoon to work with there, which is, he's a really good defensive player, one of the best defensive players in the league. But yeah, and then at OC they have Ryan Grubb. He was the OC at Washington last year, and the way that he was really able to open up the offense at Washington, make the national championship game, obviously with Penix and Rome Odunze. I'm excited to see how that works out there in the NFL with the Seahawks now. But I just have way too many question marks about the Seahawks. Defensively, a lot of question marks. Outside of Witherspoon, just a ton of question marks. And then, coaching the first year, there's going to be some growing curves there.
Makes sense. Okay, so Hunter, you mentioned that what we see on screen right here, that's pretty much yours. So this will kind of kick off our general discussion about this division, because you mentioned like that this is pretty much it. Is there any team out of these four that you think could surprise you? Like, Eddie, because these are your rankings. Like, is there any team that you could see, like, you know what, maybe they don't fall like where I think they will?
Maybe the Cardinals move up and swap with the Seahawks. I just don't know if the Cardinals are gonna be are gonna win a lot. I know they got Marvin Harrison, and that's helps Kyler Murray, but I'm just not all that impressed with them. I think Gannon's kind of on the hot seat this year. I feel like they could move on from him within the next 2 years if he doesn't start improving.
Okay, I think that's pretty good, and I think that can kind of kick us off here. But I disagree. I think that Arizona this year, especially, I think they will improve. Like if they finished 4-13 last year, I honestly think they probably end the season with like 9 wins. And I actually do real quick. I'll pull up their schedule while we're talking here. But I think the main question I have this year is for the Rams, because the Rams did pretty well. Kind of like he's kind of echoing what Ian said. They did a pretty good job for being in like kind of like a reloading, not really rebuilding, but kind of reloading year, because like they had a lot of struggles. And like Cooper Kupp getting hurt for most of the year, but then as all fantasy owners would know, Puka Nacua really stepped up in that position, and became their wide receiver one when they needed one, and they did a great job. But I just don't know, or I don't think I just don't think I trust Los Angeles much, because like they're not even going to be the best team in Los Angeles this year. I think the Chargers are probably going to be better, and it's probably not even going to be close. And
What?
I mean, like it's
That's
because
I think that's a little bold.
I don't think so.
How?
Because here's the thing, the Rams are a good team. Like I'm not trying to say they're not, and I think they'll probably make the playoffs this year. I think this is gonna be a tough division to pick, because when I was trying to think about like where I would want these teams, the more that kept coming up was just like Los Angeles did pretty all right last year, but like I don't know if they're gonna be able to replicate it this year, because like I remember when so like in the first round of the playoffs, everybody had Detroit losing to them in the first round. Quick show of hands. How many of you had the Rams beating the Lions in the first round last year? Okay, Will, Ian, Hunter, you guys had Detroit winning?
Yep.
I think so.
We were in the minority apparently, because I had Detroit winning too, but a majority of the country had the Rams winning, and I don't understand what people are seeing in this team that made them think they were better than the Lions. I really don't understand it, and I'm kind of feeling the same way this year. Their offseason hasn't been all that impressive so far, and they lost Aaron Donald.
So they signed Tre'Davious White, who's been a Pro Bowler now 3 straight years for the Bills. Their secondary was their main issue. We saw that in the playoff game last year. And then, Aaron Donald, obviously he retired, so that's a big question mark there. But they drafted really well on the line. And with Jared Verse, he was a steal that they got at 24. An absolute steal they got at 24. And let's keep in mind that they still made the playoffs with Stafford missing 2-3 games last year too.
Oh, okay. Here, sorry,
Because
I'm
I
pulling
know
up
for
the
a fact
schedule
that
real
he
quick.
missed the Packers game.
They have a nasty 1-2 with Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua
Right.
with Matthew Stafford throwing to them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and as long as they stay healthy, yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of question marks with the Rams.
Is it Kyron Williams?
Yeah.
Their running back who's a fucking dog.
Yep.
And then now their backup is Blake Corum,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is
Yeah,
kind of a
so
dirty running back room.
all
And
right. So here's
they always fly under the radar,
okay.
especially
Here's
with
what I'm
their
gonna.
drafting.
Here's the problem I'm looking at right now. So I'm just based off looking at their schedule. I'm seeing a handful of losses already, and here's why I think you guys might need to reconsider. The Niners, obviously, the Rams rematch of the first round. They'll lose that one. They might lose the game against the Cardinals, depending on if Arizona gets off hot, which I don't know if that will happen. I just think Arizona will, by the end of the season, get things figured out, and I think they will finish second in the division. But so let's be generous and say they beat the Cardinals, right? So then the Lions, the Niners, the Bears could easily be one of the better teams in football this year. Like we don't, there's still a kind of a question mark, but like who the hell knows, right? They could be everything that Nick Wright seems to think they're going to be, like the best team in football. Which, by the way, in case anyone needs to know, Nick Wright has them going to the Super Bowl, which I think is nuts. But like the Niners, the Packers, the Dolphins, the Eagles, look at this. Like ignore the Vikings. Like boom, 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 boom. All of these games right here, those are probably all losses. Do you guys agree?
No, no, not at all.
Okay, so
You seriously,
who do you think they beat out of the Eagles, Dolphins, Packers, 49ers, and Lions?
let's look at the coaching advantage that they have over a lot of these teams. They have the coaching advantage over Philadelphia. They have the coaching
No.
advantage over.
Yes, Sean McVay is a much better coach than Nick Sirianni.
AJ,
Well,
you're
okay,
biased.
if we're looking at just
Nick
the
Sirianni
head
does
coach,
nothing. He's just there.
okay.
Right.
If we look at the head coach, fine. Maybe you guys,
He's on the
maybe
hot
I agree.
seat.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying coordinator wise, I think Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio run fields around. And by the way,
No.
the Eagles last year,
Okay.
the Eagles
So,
last year decisively beat the
runs
Rams.
fields
Sean
around
McVay is
McVay.
better than
Nobody
Kellen
does.
Moore.
We beat them in Los Angeles,
Kellen
guys.
Moore is nothing compared to Sean McVay.
Okay, but the Eagles still beat them last year. And by the way, our defense was awful last year. Like, and Cooper Kupp was in that game, by the way. That was before he got hurt.
So let's talk about that Bears game. That's early in the season. That's still, a lot of moving parts and new parts that they have there with the Bears. So got a new OC. They're still figuring things out with Caleb.
They got an
they're
entire
okay.
preseason to think about, to work with Caleb. So
Yeah, but I mean, still, that's still moving parts. The Rams are going to be favored in that game, most likely. They're going to beat the Cardinals.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying that could go the other way around.
And
though.
that Packers game could totally go against the Packers. I mean, the Packers
No.
really struggle on West Coast road trips.
No, the Packers are going to beat the Rams.
AJ,
I
I just think that you're not a huge fan of the Rams.
No, that's not it at all. I don't really care about the Rams much. I don't think about them. I don't care about them much. I have no opinion on them. I just don't think that I honestly, here's the thing. Miami, Philly,
I never
Green
bet
Bay,
against
San
Sean
Francisco.
McVay, especially with Matthew Stafford healthy.
Oh my God. He was healthy against Philly last year against one of our worst, against an awful defense. We still kicked the crap out of them.
Matthew Stafford has a pretty good history against the Packers, and October 6th, I mean, the Packers, still are working in a new DC at that point. And, if that game was in Lambeau, yeah, the Rams most likely do not win that game in Lambeau, right? But the
game's in
Packers
Lambeau.
historically do not play well on West Coast road trips.
That game's in Lambeau Field.
No,
The top team is the home team.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. They are probably not winning that game then.
Yeah,
okay,
because last year Philadelphia played in Los Angeles. This year they come to Philly. That's how I know it's the top team's the home team.
but they are not beating the Bear, or they are not losing to the Bears at home. They're beating the Raiders, they're beating the Vikings, beating the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, I didn't dispute that.
And I can definitely see them beating Miami. Big
I
question.
don't.
Miami's
Okay,
defense.
this
Is it
actually
a
gets
home
worse.
or away game for Miami?
That's a home game for
Wait,
Miami.
that's Thanksgiving.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
That's a hat. I would not say anything about that game because it's a Thanksgiving game, so it's going to get bloody.
And
Well-
they're going to be both probably on a short week.
Exactly.
Okay, but they've also got the Jets, which depending on if Aaron is healthy or not, that's a huge question mark. So I won't even.
Oh
comment
boy,
on
maybe
that
Aaron's
one.
going to make it past 2 snaps. He's going to do 4 today or this year.
I mean, I listen. The more I
Why
look
don't
at
we
the
call
schedule,
Tom her fucking Brady up too? Ask him to come.
Look, the more I look at the schedule, the more I'm beginning to think that my Arizona pick is going to be correct. Like, honest to God,
They have so much more question marks than the Rams do.
who?
And are we finally going to see that
Arizona?
breakout year from Kyler Murray? I mean, is he committed finally?
I think he might be. I mean, listen. My argument hinges on the fact that like Kyler Murray is as good as promised, which I think he's shown potential. I think all of us can agree he's shown potential to be a good quarterback. The problem is, can he stay healthy for the full year? And does Jonathan Gannon have a plan to make sure he stays that way? I mean, I think we can all agree to that, right?
Yeah, but they're certainly not better than the Rams.
Yeah.
I think they could be, and I think they might finish better.
What are
So,
your questions with the Rams specifically?
My questions with the Rams specifically are their offense, because their offense has struggled against bad defenses before. Philadelphia was one of them last year.
Coach in football, outside of maybe
Okay.
Kyle Shanahan.
Fine, but they still struggled against Philadelphia. And by the way, our secondary was so torchable against one of the best wide receiver rooms in football.
I wouldn't say losing by 9 is struggling.
Was it by 9? 20, I thought it was more than that.
It was 23-14.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, regardless,
so you did not beat the shit out of them.
But they still only scored 2 touchdowns, and and our back. Listen, the Cowboys, the Rams were supposedly really good, and like the Cowboys were able to absolutely torch us last year, like in our backfield. So like to me, it's kind of like I don't have faith in Los Angeles. And I could easily say this. I have the exact same feelings on Seattle. I've got no faith in Geno Smith as a quarterback. I think if you're looking for a fantasy quarterback, like a backup, he's not a bad option. But the biggest issue I've got with the Rams is just that, like, they don't have a lot of that oomph I think they did a few years ago. And again, I'm obviously very open to being wrong. I am more than okay with eating my words if I end up being wrong here. I'm just saying, like, everything right now screams to me they'll end up third place. And I do think Arizona is going to step up because they've made a lot of great moves. Jonathan Gannon's a pretty smart guy. I think it's a pretty safe bet in my eyes. But obviously, like, I know that it's controversial. I know that it may not make a whole lot of sense. But like looking at the schedule, I don't understand how like you guys are able to defend. Like especially like when the Rams go up against the Jets, remove Aaron Rodgers from that equation. The Jets have an insanely good defense, and let's face it. Like they made Patrick Mahomes struggle. Like Patrick Mahomes almost lost to the Jets on Monday Night Football because of how good their defense is. So like I'm just saying, like I don't have a lot of faith. Like the Bills, they'll probably win that game. The Eagles, they're not winning that game. Miami, no. The Packers, no. It's in Lambeau. The 49ers, they play them twice. They're gonna lose.
Yeah, but it's in Lambeau in October. It's not like it's Lambeau in like early October. It's not like it's Lambeau in late November or December.
Well, but like weather-wise doesn't matter to me. Like Lambeau Field is one of the loudest stadiums to play in the entire NFL. In fact, it is.
Matthew Stafford's played there many times. Trust me, he's not going to be phased.
Okay, that's fine, but Green Bay also has a pretty solid defense. They did listen, and yeah. I don't mean to harken back to this, but like harken back, but like when the Packers played the Cowboys, we all saw the same game, right? The Packers defense looked incredible against the Cowboys. An offense that, by the way, scored the most points in the regular season out of all 32 teams. More than the Chiefs, more than the Eagles. It's ridiculous how well they did last year. Like, do we genuinely think that a team like Green Bay, who was able to absolutely stomp on their throat for 4 quarters, do we genuinely think the Rams are going to be able to beat that?
The Rams, okay, so just real quick here on DraftKings, the Rams are only in 12th place for Super Bowl odds. Like, they're not far behind on Super Bowl odds here, even. I mean, not that I bet on it, but like you saying that they're going to finish 3rd in the division and miss the playoffs when they're 12th right now in Super Bowl odds is bold.
Well, it is, and I understand that, but like the reason why I'm confident in this pick is because, I mean, listen, sorry, Hunter, but like the Vikings, like a handful of games like the Vikings or the Raiders or the Seahawks, like they'll win those games unless Sam Darnold is as good as Hunter.
I never said he was going to be this.
You said he'd be decent, which I mean, decent with Minnesota means. I think decent with Minnesota right now would mean that you guys probably finish 500 or a little above it, like. Because if Sam Darnold is just decent, like you guys will probably win 9 or 10 games, or 8 or 9 games. My bad. Because
this
you guys have a good enough
that we're talking about. Like, he's always going to overachieve, and he's always going to win some games that he shouldn't. This is what the Rams always do, and they did it last year, even even as they weren't healthy.
Well, that's fine, but like I also just don't. I have little to no faith that they're going to do very well. I mean, like, listen, so Detroit, San Francisco, Green Bay, Miami, and Philly. Which of those 5 games do you think they would win?
I feel like they could split with the Niners. It's possible. Stuff happens. I think they could beat the Packers. I think they could beat the Dolphins too. I think that they could probably win three of the 5, maybe 3 of the 5, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Hunter there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I'm saying keep in mind the Philadelphia game is in Philadelphia in late November.
I'm with Hunter there on the 3 of the 5. I don't think they beat Green Bay, but look, I have learned, as a Packers fan going against Matthew Stafford twice a year for like 13 years, never underestimate Matthew Stafford, never underestimate Sean McVay. So no, I mean, there is no guarantees in that game for Green Bay, not at all. And for the Eagles there, the Eagles have the advantage because, they're in the link of, I mean, of course they have an advantage in their link. But the Eagles still have, question marks about how well that defense does come together. We can predict it well,
but Vic
Fangio, that's obviously a game that the Rams can win. Yes, they totally can win that game. They have the coaching advantage. They have great wide receivers. We'll see how that defense is. There's still still question marks with Philly's defense. Yeah, I mean, they totally can win that game.
I don't know. I just think that I don't think they can
almost every year.
Also, that's a Sunday night game.
And then with the Dolphins, sorry, Will, but I think we know how Miami does towards the end of the year. I mean, this is not a great track record here that the Dolphins have starting in November.
Well, but also it's the game's being played in Miami. If it was like
that
in
has
Buffalo
not mattered
or
for the
something
Dolphins
like that,
in the past starting in November.
I don't know. I just feel like if it's in Miami, I feel like the advantage should go to Miami because Miami's got a pretty big fan base. Also, Los Angeles has like no fans. Like, whenever the only time their stadium's really full is when the Niners come to town and that stadium's red.
I think the Rams do win that game against the Dolphins.
I don't think so. I think the Dolphins win that one.
So you don't think that they beat any team that they're not favored against?
No.
This is Sean McVay.
Yeah, it's fine, but I also know for a fact that like these Green Bay is a Super Bowl contender. San Francisco is a Super Bowl contender.
Yep.
The Lions are Super Bowl contenders, and Philadelphia and even Miami are. And that is why I don't see the Rams as Super Bowl contenders. I really don't. Unless they really wow me in the first 5 games, then
The Rams are ahead of the Dolphins in Super Bowl odds.
That's fine. I don't care. But I see Miami as ahead. I'm obviously not a sports analyst, but like I feel pretty confident in that. I think Miami is I think the Rams at 12 or 13 is right about right. But I also, again, would kind of like to see how they do the first 3 games, because if they can win, like, okay, let's say they start the year off, they beat the Lions in Los Angeles, right? Good first win, good opening win. And either you play the Niners close or beat them, then I'd be actually more than happy to come back to this very podcast and say, you know what, I was wrong.
I honestly think they could split with the Niners. I think that's not.
I mean, it's a divisional game. Like, it's a divisional game, so that's not.
Are winning between 9 and 11 games.
They're gonna win 9. I'd be closer to saying 9 than I would.
Well,
11.
I'm saying between 9 and 11. We'll see what it is, but
probably 2 towers.
So, if you have the Rams at 9 wins, AJ, is that what you're leaning, or are you going below?
Okay, actually, we can do this right here, right now. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, 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 loss, win, loss. They'll win against the Saints. They'll win against the Bills. They'll lose to the Niners. They'll lose to the Jets. They will beat the Cardinals and beat the Rams. So that's 9-8.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I think they go 10-7 or 11-6 there based off of that. So, do you have the Cardinals thing going 10-7 or 11-6, AJ?
No.
Okay, so then are you changing your division picks?
Oh no, is that what I have them at 10-6? If it's 10-6, then yeah.
Okay, because you picked the Cardinals ahead of the Rams originally, but if you
wait, sorry, hold on. The Cardinals beat the Rams. The Cardinals split with the Rams.
Okay, can we pull up the
Cardinals
schedule?
Yeah, sure. Here, I need to grab my laptop charger real fast. But let me. Okay.
Oh, go over to Arizona Cardinals. To your right.
It's like, damn it! Why does it? There we go. Okay. All right.
So
okay. It starts with the Bills. I'll be right back.
This fucking guy.
Dude, Hunter, that was absolutely diabolical. I mean, like, and acting like Matthew Stafford is intimidated by Lambeau Field. He's not.
Matthew Stafford has never given a fuck about playing in Lambeau Field.
Right. No.
And Sean McVay is a top 5 coach in football. Maybe even top 3. I don't. He's just different about the way he runs teams.
Right.
And they had that one season of poor play, and they were right back into it.
Right.
And that's kind of all Sean McVay, as well as having I would honestly give Matthew Stafford a Hall of Fame stamp.
Okay, fine. But I'll say this for
they won 2 games with Brett Rypien as starting quarterback last year. Brett Rypien was starting quarterback for 2 games last year, and they won. That's coaching.
Oh no! I think I might have to change my division. I think I might have to change my division picks.
Oh, look at that! Got him, Hunter.
Okay, hold on. So we'll go this. They'll beat the Bills. They'll lose to the Rams. They'll lose to the Lions. They beat the Commanders. They lose to the Niners. They beat the Packers. They lose to the Chargers. They lose to the Dolphins. They beat the Bears. They
Don't you?
I'm just gonna assume Aaron's healthy. They'll lose to the Jets. If Aaron's not healthy or if he gets hurt, they lose this game.
Yes.
Beat the Seahawks, beat the Vikings, beat the Seahawks again, beat the Pats, beat the Cardinals, beat the Rams, lose to the Niners. So I have them tied.
Seems
They
like
aren't
you're in a bit of a
sweeping the
conflict here,
Seahawks.
Mr. Seymour.
They are not.
Huh?
They are not sweeping the Seahawks.
Yes, they will.
No, they're not.
Yes, they will.
Cardinals or the
Yeah.
Rams?
The Cardinals.
You know what? I'll stand firm. I think they tie, but I think the Cardinals are the better team.
I think the Cardinals are a better team, especially with the fact that I just looked at some. Here's the thing I really want to point out. The Cardinals lost a lot of their games, but it was a field goal difference. For the majority of them, except for the short period of time where James Conner was on IR. And I've noticed something with it. They flow pretty smoothly if they have all gears running. And now that they have, I feel like they picked up a decent wide receiver. I think they're going to be a threat this year. So.
Okay, wait, hold on. So Ian, real quick, count the wins real quick. When I say wins, okay?
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so I want to definitively make sure that we got this. We get this right to make sure that I want to see if I need to change my division picks. So they beat the Bills 1.
Wait, what?
Lose these 2.
No, they are not beating.
They're not beating the Bills.
It's my pick. I think they'll beat the Bills game 1.
Okay.
I think the Bills aren't going to see it coming. They beat the Commanders 2.
Yeah.
Beat the Packers 3. Beat the Bears 4.
Right away, they start off 1-5.
Cardinals, the Seahawks. How many wins was that? Be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 and 8.
Okay, so go back up to the top because I want to count this.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
They are losing to the Bills. They lose to the Rams, lose to the Lions. They beat Washington, I think. They lose to the Niners, lose to the Packers.
I think they lose to the Chargers too.
Yeah.
I had them losing to the Chargers though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll go lost to LA. So they're what are they? 1-5 by this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Scroll down. They lose to the Dolphins. Lose to the Bears. That one's tougher.
Just all depends on Aaron Rodgers' health, I think.
Yeah. Rodgers in November is a different beast.
Or not necessarily health, but just more success rate. I mean, how old is he now?
40.
So, and at the end of the day, even if he is healthy, he is limited because at this point, he should be at the old folks' home.
Yeah,
Well,
you're not wrong. Okay, but Ian, do you have them beating the Jets?
No, because I'm assuming Rodgers is healthy and he's a different beast in November. He always has been.
Okay. Seahawks.
Yeah, they'll beat the Seahawks then. They'll beat the Vikings. They lose to the Seahawks, beat the Pats, beat the Panthers. All right.
Jonathan Gannon has just been fired by the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I know, for real.
You have them winning 5 games.
Well, no, so scroll down more because I haven't seen the last 2.
These are the last 2.
You know what? We'll say they split with LA. All right, they're 6 wins.
All right, so you think they improved by 2 wins?
Yeah.
Hunter, do you what do you think?
I agree with that. I think that the Vikings game's a little bit more split than I think
No.
No, I think that one's very tough to pick too. I don't know about that one either.
The only issue with the Vikings game is that we need to know how good Sam Darnold looks in that Vikings offense before I'm confident in picking that. But I'm picking yes for the time being because the Vikings, I'm gonna be honest, I don't see them as a threat this year, like whatsoever. So I
No,
usually
I
if
don't
I see
expect
them
them to
on
be
it,
a threat this year.
yes, like so yeah, that's pretty much just the way
I'm
I see it.
expecting between 7 and 10 wins, maybe
That's
even 6
reasonable.
if something happens or whatever.
Hunter,
Yeah.
what do you think place a percentage chance on JJ McCarthy starting by week 8?
By week 8, I would probably. It just depends on how he progresses. He has that progression plan, and if he doesn't meet every criteria, they're not going to start him. So week 8, probably like a 35% chance.
Okay. I mean, I just don't know how much he's going to be rushed depending on Darnold's play.
I don't even think they care necessarily how Darnold plays. Their main concern is JJ McCarthy progressing and getting to the point where he feels comfortable enough to run an NFL offense and be successful.
I mean
Who do you
that's
think
fair. I
Jones
don't know.
finishes in carries this season? You think he's top 5 in carries just because of the quarterback situation, or
I hope so, because I want them to start going back to the run game, because they've kind of just ditched it the last 2 years. They've been like 30th, 31st in like carries per game, and
seriously?
yeah, they do not
That's sad.
they either play close games or they're playing catch up, so they don't run the ball.
Okay, so real quick, guys. So let's get back to the
I did not know that
NFC West.
stat. Wow.
So
Yeah,
let's go.
that's their biggest problem that KOC has had, is he keeps ditching the run game. But
Uno
I
mas.
feel like with Aaron Jones now, they'll hopefully go back to it a little bit more and maybe try to get some trust in Ty Chandler and kind of start feeding the ball off.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I
so
love KOC
Let's go back to the
runs.
West.
yeah, let's go back to the West here. So real quick, we'll do this and then we'll sign off for the night. But are there any fantasy sleepers for the entire division or for one for each team that you guys are looking at right now? I will start, and I will say that I think Marvin Harrison Jr., even though I think maybe because like the reason why I'm gonna say sleeper is because nobody likes picking rookies. But I think if you're gonna go with a rookie this year, I think this is a pretty good option. I think that might be the I think if you're going to pick, if you're like, I want to, like, if you are dead set, like, I want to try to grab a rookie and see if they're good. Marvin Harrison Jr., because you can get him at pretty low, like, get him for pretty low. Because, Hunter, do you remember what round he went? Because we did a mock draft earlier today. Do you guys remember what round he went?
I think it was either the second or third.
Yeah, so like you won't like you're not having to waste like a first or second round pick on the guy. You'll probably have to maybe third, maybe even fourth, depending on how big your league is, or depending on how the people in your league are. Do yourself a favor, call people and ask. I do it all the time, and it's why I'm so good at this. It's because I ask my friends what they are planning on doing, and I just make a plan after I hear that. But like the idea should be like if you like because honestly, I don't see a lot of sleepers in this division personally when I was looking into it. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is somebody that if you really like kind of want to take a risk on somebody, that's a good one. Hunter, what do you think?
I agree with that one. I think Kyron Williams is kind of just a given. He was really good um,
For which team?
last year, and I think he's going to keep the same production. But maybe Blake Corum as like a backup in case Williams gets hurt again, because it happens. So I think that's a possibility. It's hard for the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker does get hurt a lot, so maybe sipping on some of that Charbonnet wouldn't be a terrible one to go get. And then uh, For the Niners, Ricky Pearsall. I think that's their rookie they took. And
What's his position?
if they figure out what they're going to do with Ayuk, I
Wide
think
receiver.
Pearsall is going to be number 2.
He's a wide receiver, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have one for so you did one for the Cardinals? Did you one for the Rams?
Yeah, I said Blake Corum.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I guess for you, like I think I kind of want to second what your Seahawks one. Kenneth Walker is good. And I actually thought about picking him, but I decided against it only because I feel like I should throw this opinion out there. He wasn't that great last year. I mean, he did good for Ethan,
I
but
said so. Kenneth Walker is a pretty good running back, but the problem is he keeps getting hurt, which is why I'd say Charbonnet as like a late round kind of throw it out there and hold on to him on your bench.
okay. So do you have any other ones, Hunter?
No.
All right, William, what do you got?
I feel like I believe his name is McBride. He's going to be a good one to go with, mainly because he was a good tight end. I believe that's his name from the Cardinals.
What, Dwayne McBride?
Yeah. Because he was pretty reliant when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals offense. Plus, he's a tight end, and when it comes to it, there's an easy swoop. Because at the end of the day, if you don't end up getting a decent tight end, you're gonna end up having awful. It's gonna just be not necessarily a wasted spot, but it's not gonna be one that produces a lot. So, but I feel like he was
Okay.
just a wide receiver at the end of the day. So
So when you say like so for a sleeper pick, like so let's say you personally picked him, like let's pretend our draft was today. Would you put him as your flex? Like where would you personally put him on the team, or would you have him
I
on the
put him
bench?
as my tight end. Putting aside my original pick, I'd put him as my tight end because I feel like otherwise it would just be a wasted spot. I don't think any tight ends are necessarily flex worthy. Is the thing.
Well, unless you have Travis Kelce as your tight end and you just decided like so like do you think
Fuck
that
Travis Pittman. Fuck that guy. Fucking
I
off
like
here
him.
when I take him in the first round.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But I think that's a good idea. So actually real quick, going back to what I just touched on with Will Hunter. Um so each individually, the guys that you picked, are there any guys that you think are starter worthy, or how many like do you think that like because you mentioned the last guy was like, you know, kind of keep him on your bench, kind of wait. Like what do you think about
Yeah.
the other guys that you had?
Those are kind of just those are all kind of just wait and see guys, except for Marvin Harrison. I think Marvin Harrison's going to be the one guy out of the 4 that you can probably start and be okay with. But Charbonnet is just like he's not going to take a lot of carries from Kenneth Walker, but it's possible that Walker gets hurt again. It's the same thing with fucking Blake Corum. If Kyron Williams gets hurt, Blake Corum's going to be the number 1 back. And I think Corum's still going to he could get double-digit touches. I think it's possible, but those are
Do you
kind of.
think it'd be safer for a guy like that? Like, do you think he'll get picked up at all in a draft, or do you think it's a pretty safe bet
I
he'll
mean,
be on the waiver
I
wire?
took him as like a late round flyer.
Well, you got to remember we're also in a 14-team league, so like for people in like so like let's say like it's like a 10 like an 8-team league. Do you think that like that guy will probably be on the waiver wire?
Probably. Just depends on how you feel about what he could do. It's kind of the same with Ricky Pearsall. I think he could be a really good sleeper pick, but he's kind of blocked by Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. So it all depends on what they do with Ayuk and if they trade him or not.
Oh, okay. So like I think that's a good point. Ian, what are your do you have 1 pick or do you have 4? Oh, I think we lost Ian.
I think he died.
Will, were you finished
No,
with your picks?
I'm back.
Oh,
Sorry to chase some bug that was on my
Yeah.
door.
oh, no, you're good.
Um,
No, you're good.
But so my main pick, and this is one of the biggest sleepers I think in the NFL in general this year in fantasy, is Trey Benson for the Cardinals. He was their third round pick this year, also out of Florida State. He ran a 4.29 at the combine, which was one of the fastest ones overall at the combine this year, and was the top in the running back class. Let's see. Oh, and he he's very hard to bring down. He's only 216. And he forced more missed tackles in college football over the last 2 years than anybody.
And so what position does he play? And do you think he's a starter worthy, or is he like a wait and see kind of guy?
He's running back. He'll be their RB2 behind Connor to start. But with Connor's, injury history and his, chance of missing games, he's going to get a lot of action, and I'm really excited to see what he does.
So if you
been one of the best running backs in college football the last 2 years.
If the draft were today, would you put them at would you have him as your RB2 definitively, or would you say I've got him as a flex spot, or just I keep him on my bench until James Conner gets hurt and then put him in? What would you do?
On my bench to see what happens with James Conner, but I could definitely see him being flex or RB2 later on, because his ability to break tackles, run downhill explosively, that's people are missing out on him.
That's fair. Okay, so then does anybody else have any other sleeper picks before we sign off? Any thoughts about the NFC West burning that you want to say before we sign off for the night?
We'll see. The 49ers have no excuse again. I feel like we say this every year with the 49ers. They got no excuse. We're tired of them getting to the NFC Championship and losing. They've got the roster. They've got the talent. Got an elite coach. Made a change at DC. They're now with Brandon Staley at DC. We'll see how aggressive they become here in playoff time.
I think that's gonna prove to be a bad pick. Brandon Staley was. I feel like that's gonna be proof if he was either just riding off of the really good defense the Rams had, or if his Cinderella story is about to come to an end.
Sometimes there's just coaches that aren't meant to be head coaches. It happens all the time where they're much better coordinators than they are coaches,
which is understandable. I guess it's just more of because Brandon Staley did such a bad job with the Chargers, and I don't blame Kellen Moore or his DC for him at all. I think a lot of it was he was so bad with management, and I think it's a good thing that the Chargers fired. Hey, it's a good thing the Chargers fired him because they were able to get Jim Harbaugh instead, which is quite literally the best you could possibly get. So I think it's that'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. Next week, everybody, we've got the NFC South, which is going to be the most frustrating one to do, because all four teams kind of suck. So that'll be fun. But
I'm already disagreeing.
Yeah, there's already a hot take to start.
Wait. Let me guess. You guys have Tampa Bay winning 10 games?
Hang on. Did you just say the AFC North or the AFC South?
NFC
South.
Oh God, I can't hear. Oh, that's some fighting words right there. Because there's a couple of decent teams I feel like that are there. They just need to kind of.
You have two teams that are probably going to underperform and be not very good, and then two teams who are going to be pretty damn good teams.
Wow,
I don't know. I just don't. Well, I'll have to do a little bit more looking into it, but just a generic.
Atlanta's probably going to win 10 or 11, and the Bucks are probably going to win 9 or 10.
All right, maybe so. We'll have to see. We'll
say criminally underestimate Baker Mayfield. Guys, he's going to say slanderous things about Baker Mayfield. So stay tuned.
All right, I'll be the Chris Broussard. I'll be the guy that constantly doubts Baker Mayfield. In case any of you haven't picked up on it, I watch a lot of First Things First.
Sorry, either way
But
that you are, AJ.
all right, well, so this has been the Behind the Showdown podcast. I've been your host, AJ, with my co-host Hunter, Will,
I'm going to break your fucking kneecaps.
and Ian.
Go Rams.
Eh.
All right. Well, then that was it for this week. Bye, everybody.